Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This week's episode, we get the old girl running. So, new rockers are in. You can see self-aligning edges compared to the smooth rockers on the older style heads. So we're just waiting for these to come in. So we'll get these put on real quick here. While I'm putting these new rockers on, I'm just using some engine oil to lube up the tips of the push rods and the tops of the springs here, just so I am going to prime the engine, spin the oil pump over before I go for a first initial start on this, but I just don't want to put dry parts in here, so I'm going to just a little bit on the finger and lube up any contact surfaces. I'll go all the way up and down, and I did that side already, so carry on here. I'll show you when I get them all on. So new rockers are on. The nuts are just kind of barely hand tight. Now to adjust them properly, I had to write it down here. The engine is at number 1 cylinder top dead center. So we're going to go TDC number 1. We're going to adjust exhaust 1348 and intake 1257. Then we're going to spin the crank 1 full rotation, so then we're on number 6 top dead center. We're going to exhaust 2567, intake 3468, and then everything should be adjusted properly. So what you need to do is go to the rocker that you're wanting to adjust, and you want to spin the push rod and lift at the same time to get any lateral play as you're tightening that nut down. Spinning, lifting, snagging it up. When you start to feel no more up and down, no loose up and down, and resistance on the push rod against the lifter, stop. And then that's your 0 lash. And then to put the preload onto your lifters, you're gonna put your socket on the nut and go 1/2 to 3/4 tight, and that'll be adjusted. We'll do each rocker all the way around in the order that I got written down here, and then we will spin the motor over once, and I'll do them at top dead center on number 6 cylinder. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to do it off camera. I will bring you in and show you one, just so you don't sit here and watch 20 minutes of time-lapse video, but okay. So I've got myself set up here on cylinder number 1, just because it's closest and easiest to get to. But you can see no more up and down, but I can still spin it. It's going to be really tough to do this with one hand here. So I can still spin. Let's tighten a little bit. Okay, so there it got snug on me. So if we go there, let's go there. Sorry about the wind noise too, we got a storm blowing in. And we go there. That is tight enough on your rockers. Okay, so while spinning the motor over, crawl underneath the truck, and I marked my timing mark. That's just something I like to do. It'll be easier for me to set the timing later on, so there I can see the mark a lot better, and we'll carry on with cranking the engine over to get number 6 at top dead center. We'll finish up with the tightening down the rockers. Rockers are properly adjusted, valve covers and gaskets are reinstalled. I pulled the oil pressure sending unit out of the back there. I'll show you what I did here. So I installed this T on top of it, or below this. This is for the factory gauges here, and it works fine, but I just have dummy gauges in the truck. I do want to put an actual oil pressure gauge in at some point, just to, the mechanical gauge that you screw to the bottom of the dash. So I put this T here. I'll put it back in so that sometime later in the future, I'll just attach a mechanical pressure gauge to where that plug is. Okay, just like that. Okay, the oil pressure fittings are back in there. I'm going to put the intake gaskets on, I'm going to just smear with my finger just some silicone around the like the water ports there, and that'll just help the intake gasket sit there in place while I set the intake on, as well as the front and the back china walls. We're just going to really put a really thick bead of silicone on there and let that set up for a little bit and get that new intake in place. Just out at the farm here, need to rob some parts off of that truck there. Carburetor, fuel line, etc. Just little trinkets to get the 79 two-wheel drive going. See, we got a few old Squarebodies sitting out here. All of them in the middle of doing stuff. This one's got half of a lift kit installed. The front's done. The back is just up on jack stands here. Eventually get to that too. Plan on making that the mud truck, because this is the worst shape of the trucks that I have. So Gert's gonna go mud bogging. And like I said here, this is just a parts rig, 76 K10, or sorry, K20 3/4 ton. Just the cab, the engine, transmission, transfer case. No box or anything. Like I said, it's just for parts. And then we got the original first Squarebody, old 78 Jimmy. Traded an old Skidoo for Jimmy. Obviously all the work that's been done to him, I did all that. I practically picked him up. He had a 4-inch suspension and 33-inch tires, so relatively stock. But the way she sits now, that's a labor of love. That's a few years of wrenching there. I think I've had old Jimmy for coming on 6 or 7 years now. Yeah, runs, drives, isn't really street friendly anymore, but that's okay. All right, we'll go back to the old parts truck here. Just going to swap some parts around. That's the carburetor that came off of the old 79. Just gonna grab Edelbrock off of this one. I mean, nothing wrong with that carb, nothing wrong with that carb. Just that one's newer, shinier. So throw a bunch of shiny parts at the new truck. That should make it run better, hey? So here's where I left off last night. Intake is on, carb is just sitting there. I still need to figure out a fuel line for that. Just buttoning up loose ends here now. Just putting plugs in the coolant passages, you know, ports that I don't need. I'm gonna put the fittings in for the temperature gauge and for the heater core over there, and then I can start putting the back of the engine together, drop the distributor in, all that stuff like that. Okay, here we go. An issue I'm gonna have here is the factory brackets for like the transmission kickdown, factory throttle bracket, like everything, nothing is gonna bolt on to this intake the way it did on the original. So I'm gonna have to do some tinkering here and figure this out. Quick update, distributor is stabbed. I got the wrong gasket for that sent to me, so I made one. So that's probably gonna leak. And what did I do? I modified this bracket. Just, I don't know, it went the other way, and so it's gotta go, I don't know, there now, on top of the carb there. And then, where is it? Throttle bracket, also did some slicing and dicing and hacking that up. So the factory stuff is not bolting up to this Edelbrock air gap intake. So, oh well, no problem. Got her going. Okay, that didn't work. Scrap that idea there. I don't know. The throttle bracket might work a little bit, but the transmission kickdown cable, that bracket I couldn't get figured out. I spent all afternoon on it, threw it away. So I'm going to run to the parts store tomorrow and grab some sort of a, you know, something for Edelbrock, for the throttle cable, trans kickdown, something that's, you know, a return spring setup, something that's going to work a lot better for me. But this is where I'm at for this evening. Can't go any further, need more parts. Like I said, I need that whole throttle thing figured out. I need some fittings, I need my my fuel line. I don't have the proper fitting to come out of the fuel pump into that, I don't know, AN fitting line that I have ran up to the carb. Still waiting on exhaust manifold stuff. What else? Yeah, water neck that I picked up, wrong size, of course. Yeah, lots of stuff. So we will run to the parts store and we'll just carry on tomorrow. Day 3, we're back in here, back from the parts store. Got a bunch of stuff. New water neck. It's the O-ring style. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of those. I like the gasket instead, but no leaks, right? Parts store didn't have an upper radiator hose, so just reused this flex hose. Not a fan. I kind of wish this was just a spare to throw in the toolbox, but we'll figure that out later. Got the throttle cable bracket and kickdown cable figured out. That is a Spectra Universal kit. That worked perfect. Now I went to the store, said I have an Edelbrock intake, Edelbrock carb, Vortec heads, get me some sort of kit that works for this. I was sold an Edelbrock bracket, doesn't work at all. I don't know what. And even I looked in the instructions for this manifold, and the part number that they list in the instructions for this manifold for their Edelbrock cable, throttle cable, trans kickdown, you know, bracketry, it still didn't work. I don't understand. So riddle me this, right? So yeah, with, you know, kind of no-name brand there, brackets worked fine, everything worked good. Return spring is still a little stiff, pedal's kind of hard to push down, but that'll loosen up. Threw a heat shield in on the starter so it doesn't get too heat soaked. Got the fittings I need from the fuel pump up. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I have 91.2% confidence that that's not going to leak, so we'll see. Starting to set things up here. Like I said, still waiting on the brother-in-law to get back to me with the manifold all welded up for that side. But this side, new plugs are in. Trying to run the wires, you know, as nice as you can. It's a little difficult. I didn't really look very hard, but with these center bolt valve covers, is there some sort of like bracketry you can get to hold spark plug wires? I would like to run them a different way, or I'll have to look into getting custom, like a universal kit of plug wires, and then I'll cut to length and make something look nicer. But I would like to look into that, because they're just draped over the cover, and it is what it is. And that's why I went with the factory style, you know, exhaust manifolds instead of headers, because I can just run the wires like that down to the plugs. It's a daily driver. I don't want to burn off a plug wire when I'm going down the highway or whatever. But everything is getting back together. I know I made a mistake here. Distributor hold down clamp I put on the other side. I should have put it on this side. I am going to have a lot of fun getting in there to loosen that off, so I can, you know, advance or retard the timing there, move the distributor around. So I'll fight with that later. Filled up the rad with coolant. It held. That's good. No leaks anywhere. Obviously gonna have to top that up again when we fire up, get some air out of the system. But I'm going to go and crawl under the truck right now. We're gonna drop the oil out, put a new filter in, top up the oil, and then she is ready to go. Just once I get that exhaust bolted back in place, bring the thunder time. Okay. Well, you just missed me smash my hand off the old exhaust pipe there trying to loosen this drain plug. Okay. See if we can do this one-handed. Drip all that oil down my arm. Oh man, okay, we'll see what's in here. And I hope the drain pan's big enough to hold everything. Oh yeah. Straight coolant, and then it goes to oil. Oh yeah. There was some antifreeze mix there for sure. Perfect. We get this all drained out, topped her back up. Nothing but the best for this old girl. Oil top up complete. Passenger side manifold is on. Everything's all tightened up. Plugs and wires are hooked up. We are gonna go for a crank here, see what happens. Guys, she is up and running. I probably had the distributor set with one tooth off, so I had to switch spark plug wires down a little bit and then fire right up. Sounds really good. Only thing I got going on, I think this side's still smoking a little bit, so I don't know if we're just burning off all the coolant and stuff that was in the exhaust pipe and all for everything. Just let it run for a little while later. See if that smartens up. Got it fired back up, guys, and I'm just out for a little test drive. I was a little worried there to begin with the smoke and stuff coming out that passenger side still, but like I said, there must have been a lot of oil and coolant down in the pipes and in the muffler and stuff. Nothing out the driver's side exhaust, and now we're down on the highway and we're doing highway speeds. Nothing coming out the passenger, so chalk it up as a win, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I didn't plan on making these 3 videos. This just kind of fell into my lap, bringing the truck home. I had other ideas for stuff to do, but thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you guys clicked that button and watched what I'm doing. I just replaced the head gaskets and upgraded the heads on this old small block Chevy. Never done it before ever. Worked out fine. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and notification bell. See you next time.